Welcome to Your Cyber Path, the podcast that helps you get your dream cybersecurity job by sharing the secrets of experienced hiring managers and top cybersecurity professionals with you. Now, on to the show.
And so let's talk a little bit about what is a digital signature, how they're created, and how they're used. Kip, which part of that do you want to take first?
Well, these days I don't operate as a cybersecurity analyst, and I'm not doing, deep technical work. So once upon a time, I had that all in the front of my brain.
Yep.
I don't anymore because I don't need it. I have other people I can turn to and say, "Quick, how's the digital signature work?" And they will tell me. But I just want to talk about where you can expect to see digital signatures. Commonly, where I see them all these days is DocuSign. Is because I'm executing contracts for my business with customers and subcontractors and that sort of thing. And, everybody's all over the place. And the idea that I'm going to get somebody to put an ink pen to a piece of paper is just never going to happen anymore. It's just not the way things work in this environment, this post-COVID environment. And so we need to find a way to get people's signatures without physically meeting up with them. And so digital signatures are wonderful for using to sign contracts. If you refinanced your mortgage recently before the interest rates went up, you probably did some kind of an online signature, and that used encryption to produce a digital signature, both for integrity to show that the document hasn't changed since you signed it, but also for something we're going to talk about later on, which is non-repudiation, which means you can't deny that you signed it.
Yeah, that's a great point. And we just talked about digital signatures in a very generic way. I want to point out that there are two terms that sound very, very similar, but they are very, very different. So listen carefully. The first one is digital signature. We just mentioned that. The other one is digitized signature.
Aha.
Notice they're very, very close together, but they are very, very different. So if I'm using a digital signature, that is using this hashing idea and encryption to prove that you signed that document in a digital way. That is what is used with DocuSign and other services like that. Now, if I send you an email, I can digitally sign that email using what we're going to talk about how it works, and that will give you integrity, and it is a digital signature. Now, on the other hand, there's something called a digitized signature, and I use digitized signatures a lot because a lot of organizations don't accept a digital signature, or they're not configured for that. For example, when I'm filing my quarterly report with the IRS, there's a PDF document that we have to fill out, and they want me to physically print it off and sign it and then mail it in. Well, if I'm on travel at the time and I'm overseas, I won't do that. Instead, I will use a digitized signature, which is literally my signature in a digital format. It's a picture of my signature that can be placed on that document, and then I can send it to my operations officer, and she can print it out at her house in Orlando and mail it into the IRS. Now, that doesn't mean that it is actually secure, because Kip could have had a copy of my signature, a picture of it, and he could put it on any document he wants. And in fact, my operations officer, she has a copy of my digitized signature. And so if she needs to fill out that paperwork for the IRS, she doesn't even have to ask me. She just goes and stamps it. It's basically like doing a rubber stamp in a digital form with Jason's signature on there. And that's how it goes out. So that is a digitized signature, not a digital signature.
I love it. Thank you so much for distinguishing between those, because it's really important, because they're two completely different, technically completely different things. And you would not want to think that a digitized signature gave you the integrity protections of a digital signature.
And it doesn't, right? So,
Right.
If you go to the store and you buy something on your credit card, when I go to the restaurant to go buy lunch, they often will bring you out the little tablet for you to sign on, right? It looks like a little credit card terminal. You stick your card in, and then they say, "Oh, would you like to sign it at a tip?" And you sign your name. That is not a digital signature. That is a digitized signature. All they're doing is capturing your signature that you did.
It's like taking a picture. Yeah,
that's exactly what they do. And that way they hold it in their record. So if you ever dispute it with the credit card company, say, "I never ate lunch there," they'll go, "Well, you signed for it." And then they'll compare that to what's on your card and make sure it matches. And if it does, they'll say that's good enough. But it's not an actual digital signature. Right. Now, a digital signature, on the other hand, is something like if I'm going to send you an email, you want to make sure that I sent it. When I send that email and I attach a digital signature to it, and in Outlook, it does this for you automatically if you've configured your digital signatures, it will take the message that I wrote, it will run it through a hash algorithm, generate that hash value. So let's say SHA-256, it's got this 256-bit value. Then it takes that value, and instead of just sending that with the message, because that would give me integrity, but it doesn't say that I'm the one who sent it, to make that a digital signature, we take that 256-bit hash value and we encrypt it using my private key. Because if I encrypt something with my private key, only my public key can be used to decrypt it. And who has access to my public key? Everyone in the world.
Everybody.
Right? So anybody.
That's why it's public.
Exactly. And that's what we want, right? Because you want to be able to get that message, take that encrypted, that signature, which is essentially just an encrypted hash value, decrypt it, and now you've got the hash value. And you know that Jason sent it because only Jason had a private key for it. Now you run the same message through the hash. You see if your hash matches the one I sent you. And if they do, you know that digital signature is valid and that message has not been changed. Now, anywhere along the line, anybody else could have read that email. We didn't encrypt the email. All we did was encrypt the hash value. And that is the difference here when we talk about digital signatures. Digital signatures give you integrity. They do not give you any confidentiality. If you want confidentiality, you have to also encrypt that message. And I would encrypt that using the person's public key that I want to send it to. So if I'm sending, a bunch of banking documents over to Kip, I'm going to encrypt it with Kip's public key. So only Kip can decrypt it. But I'm also going to take my hash value of the message I sent and encrypt it with my private key. So Kip knows it has integrity and it came from me. And that's how you get this confidentiality and integrity and non-repudiation using digital signatures. But the digital signature itself is just there to be able to encrypt that hash. And that is what gives you that integrity.